Come in.
Excuse me, Detective Merylo? I'm Jim Pearson. I'm from the COI. I'm here about Mr. Finster's complaint.
A what? This had better be good, kid. I'm up to my neck in murders.
You were the detective that handled Mr. Finster's complaint?
Finster? Oh yeah, Finster. I remember him now. Listen, kid. If I had a nickel for every so-called Nazi spy in this city, I would be a very rich man.
So you don't think his complaint was legitimate?
Ever since you secret agent types start stirring people up about Nazi spies, every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a beef about his neighbors has been into my office. You care to take a guess how many of them panned out?
Well, what did your investigation reveal? Was there anything to the invitation? You did investigate this, didn't you?
Now listen, Sonny! There's a butcher on the loose in my city. I didn't have time. Hey, isn't that sort of thing your job now? I don't have time to babysit another Fed.
Detective, I understand you must be very busy right now.
You don't understand nothing. Every day it seems we find another body or a part of a body. We don't have enough good leads and we don't have enough men to cover this case. And on top of that, I got some horse's ass from the Federal Bureau of Investigation looking over my shoulder trying to tell me how to do my job.
I'm sorry to have bothered you, Detective. I'll be on my way.
This case is gonna be the death of me yet. For what it's worth, kid, Finster had a look at the mugshot books. He said he spotted the Joe what handed him that screwy invitation. I think he even marked the books and everything. You can have a look through them if you think it'll help.
Thank you, Detective. Are you any closer to catching the torso killer?
That sick son of a bitch has been too clever.
How's that?
Well, for starters, he's not leaving enough behind for us to identify. Our best guess is he's cutting up bums and whores, people nobody'd miss. Takes them apart real clean, too, like a doctor. 2 whacks and he's through 'em. The queerest thing is, he bleeds them dry, washes them clean, and wraps them up like a butcher, all nice and neat in newspapers. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and I've seen plenty.
I'm sure it's only a matter of time before something breaks through.
Oh, you got that right. His kind always slips up. And when he does, bang! I'm gonna be right there on top of him.
This must be the one Finster looked through.
And now for the day's news. Our top story today comes straight from the tough and tumble neighborhood of Kingsbury Run.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a man named George Hansen. He used to be...
I never heard of him.
Listen, buddy, I'm not trying to cause any trouble for you. I just need a little help trying to find a friend of mine.
Yeah, friend, huh? Look, I got nothing to do with no lousy feds. Now, why don't you do me a favor and scram, huh? And while you're at it, take that friend over there with you. Scaring away all my business.
Unidentified. Meanwhile, in news from around the world, our boys at sea captured an Axis ship in equatorial waters. The Axis vessel unsuccessfully attempted a nefarious ploy to bluff its way through the British blockade. Our sources indicate the Axis boat falsely flaunted our very own stars and stripes and had an American name painted on her pilot house and stern in an attempt to pass itself off as one of our own. Our American cruiser's good commander was too smart to fall for such a trick, however, and he immediately ordered the ship to heave to. Despite a last-ditch effort by
A man
the
named
ship,
George
their
Hansen.
vessel was
He used to
captured
work at the Finster
without
Munitions
incident.
Factory. Do you know where I might be able to find
Other
him?
global news,
I'm sorry.
snow
I'm afraid I
and
haven't made his
zero weather
acquaintance.
in Russia
Thanks for your
halted
time.
Nazi troops dead in their tracks. News for the Axis as the British began an
What's your name?
offensive in North Africa along
Who wants
the
to know?
130
My name's
mile
Jim
Libya
Pearson. I'm from the
line.
COI.
Score one for Hitler, though.
Well, have a
while
seat,
reports
Jimbo.
confirmed that the Australian cruiser Sydney was sunk by a German raider.
The name's
disguised
Winslow.
as a Dutch merchant
Dick
ship.
Winslow.
I guess
Nice
our
to meet you,
best
Mr.
down
Winslow.
under could use a few
What
lessons
brings you
from our
here?
own
Oh, no
boys
need to
at
be
sea.
so formal. You can call me Dick.
In Washington today, Subaru Kurusu,
I'm just
Japan's
here for a
new
drink.
Super special envoy to the
Really?
United States, is set to begin a round of
This
talks
just
with the
doesn't
State
seem like your
Department.
type of place.
These
Oh,
talks
why
come
not?
right on the heels
Why
of
can't a working
Trudeau's
Joe like me go out for a
remarks
drink?
regarding
Can't he
Roosevelt's
try
Pacific
someplace new?
policy.
Well, you just seem a little overdressed,
Pacific
is all.
crisis nearing its breaking point. Officials in Washington
Guilty
hope
as
that
charged,
Kurusu,
sport.
Japan's pinch hitter
Not a
on the
bad bit of
diplomatic
deduction,
island,
that.
can head off
Oh, well, I
a
might as well
military
confess. You're
confrontation.
right.
Also in Washington, a recent survey
with the
of
FBI.
59 Midwestern editors
Really?
and publishers for the interventionist
What are you doing
Continental
here?
Congress for
Staking the
Freedom
place out.
displayed surprising
I thought I might
attention.
get a lead on the torso
The
killer, but
newspaper head honchos
I haven't had
reported
much
that
luck
their
yet.
communities were now overwhelmingly in favor of the administration's
But you're
foreign
new
policy
here,
and
aren't
the
you?
repeal
Yeah,
of
I
the
just
Neutrality
started.
Act,
Oh, you don't say.
said one
And,
editor. The
what brings you
so-called
here to McGinty's,
isolationist
Jimbo?
Midwest
Well, I'm working on an
only
investigation
in
of
the
my
minds
own.
of congressmen
Oh, really?
who had
How
failed to
interesting.
keep abreast of a great surge of
Did
public
someone
opinion
steal some
during
plans for a
recent
secret
months.
weapon? Huh?
In
Or
other national
commit an act of
news,
sabotage,
hopes ran
perhaps?
high that
No,
John L. Lewis
nothing like
would
that.
call an end
I'm
to
looking
the
into a
coal
group
mine
of
strike
possible
after
German
12
subversives.
striking miners were shot
Wow.
during riots.
Perhaps your men are on our little
New York
German
has a new
blacklist.
hero in Jerry the Superdog.
You mean they haven't
The
told you
lovable
about
howler's
that?
barking awoke
Your
16
office should have a
families
copy.
residing in apartments
Really?
above and
I'd complain to
upper
my
East Side
superiors right
Sewer.
away. How can a
Our
new
dog
agent hope to
hero
succeed
nearly
without
gave
the
his
necessary
own life,
tools?
however.
What is this
After
list?
seeing everyone to safety,
It's a list
Jerry left the
of
burning
suspicious
building
Americans of German
and
descent.
collapsed.
FBI's
To
been
the
keeping
efforts
tabs
of a
on them
local
for a while
doctor,
now.
Jerry
Oh,
was
it wouldn't take
revived.
much for some of them to
Give
sell
that
out Uncle
dog
Sam for
a biscuit.
Uncle Adolf, huh?
Thanks for the information, Dick.
In local
This
news,
list might come in handy.
prominent Dayton entrepreneur
Well,
Ilo G.
I should be
Sundberg
going
was
now.
killed in a plane
Listen,
crash.
sport.
Meanwhile, here
You're new
in our
here,
own beloved
so I'll give you
city,
one little bit of
an
free
estimated
advice.
crowd of 6,000 gathered
Some of
for
the people in your
Freedom Day
department have
rally
stepped
at
on some
Public Hall.
toes, so
The cheering
careful where
crowd
you
of
put your foot down.
freedom-conscious Clevelanders
I'll remember that.
condemned Nazi hostage
It was a
slaves
pleasure to meet you,
and
Jimbo.
called for an end to the
drop by my office anytime.
Thanks, Dick.
Today's
I just
weather,
may take you up on that.
One word, friends. Brr. And finally, in sports today, the Barons extend their winning streak to 7 games by defeating the Washington Lions 3-0 in an American Hockey League game. And unconfirmed reports from Indians management indicate that they are about to sign a 24-year-old Indian shortstop.
Yes?
Sorry to bother you, sir.
Not at all, Mr. Pearson. Come right in.
Sir, is it true that the FBI's made a list of suspicious German Americans?
Who have you been talking to?
Special Agent Winslow, sir.
Oh, yes, Agent Winslow. It's true, we do have such a list. When France fell to the Germans, a lot of people felt that it must be due to the work of a fifth column of spies and traitors. And it got the boys in Washington thinking that if we weren't careful, things might happen the same way here. And, well, Mr. Hoover and his FBI set to work, watching anyone they felt could betray their own countrymen. Naturally, important Americans of German descent were watched most closely.
Could I get a look at it, sir? I believe there might be a connection between some of the names on that list and the case that I'm investigating.
Just remember, son, it's possible that any of these men on that list are hard-working Americans, no different than you or I. Don't go off all half-cocked simply because Hoover's men put a name on a list.
Yes, sir.
I'm Agent Jim Pearson with the COI. I was trying to reach a Professor Strauss.
Professor Strauss is not in. You're from Mr. Penske's office, aren't you?
Yes, sir, sort of. I wanted to...
Professor Strauss is away on business. I'll be sure to leave him a message.
Thanks. Sir?
When I arrived back at my office, there was another message from the museum. Whatever had been going on between Walter Pensky and Dr. Strauss seemed to be pretty important to both of them. Since I didn't have any more leads on my own investigation, and since Strauss's name did appear on the FBI's Blacklist, along with Hank Finster's, I thought I might as well check into it.
Come in.
Excuse me, are you Miss Strauss?
I'm Helen Strauss.
Hi, how do you do? I'm Jim Pearson from the COI. I came across your name at work, and I was hoping, I was hoping you might be able to help me.
I'd love to. That is, if I can.
What is it exactly your father does, Helen?
Why? Didn't Mr. Pensky tell you?
I'm afraid I've never met Mr. Pensky.
But don't you... I'm afraid I don't understand. Didn't Mr. Pensky send you?
I've replaced Mr. Pensky. I found the message you left for him, and, well, I was hoping you might be able to tell me what he needed to see your father about.
He wanted my father to examine some artifacts he'd found on an investigation of his. As far as I know, they never did meet. My My father was called away suddenly on business, and I didn't want to leave Mr. Penske in the lurch. That's why I volunteered to help. If I could, of course.
What is it you do here, Helen?
Well, I'm just a graduate student intern here now, but one day I'm going to run this museum, or one just like it anyway. They've got such a wonderful display of Central European artifacts from the Middle Ages. Well, that's my area of study, Central European history, and I'm sorry, I'm sure you're not interested in listening to me babble. I could so just go on and on about my work.
Oh, that's okay, Professor.
My father's the professor.
And I just bet you're a chip off the old block. Do you suppose that these are the artifacts that Mr. Penske wanted to speak to your father about?
Why, yes, I believe they are. Mr. Penske told my father there were inscriptions on them. These are runes. Norse runes, I'm sure of it.
Norse runes?
Yes, Norse. The ancient Scandinavians, the Swedes, the Danes, the Germans. You probably know of them as Vikings. We still see many of their roots today. For example, Wednesday is a derivative of Woden's Day or Odin's Day. And then
Whoa. Slow down, Professor. Are you trying to tell me that these runes are an ancient form of Germanic writing?
Yes, that's right. The runes are a sort of alphabet. Some people also use the symbols to represent words, like the Egyptian hieroglyphics.
These pieces look like they interlock somehow. Do you think you could help me figure out the order?
Sure, I'd love to.
What about these parchments here? They're the same runes, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Someone's already begun a translation of them. 9 gifts to Odin. That generally would have meant a sacrifice of some sort.
A sacrifice? What sort of sacrifice?
Well, usually a human sacrifice. The Vikings would choose 9 strong men and hang them. Sometimes they behead them. As often as not, it merely meant an animal sacrifice.
Go on.
Well, it's hard to tell. These sheets are just fragments. I'd need some time.
All right. I'll check back later then.